Hello and welcome everybody to another Shelfie. I am Sherston Luckins. I am Festival Coordinator for Crossing the T's Booked Festival, and I am here with Chloe Timms. Welcome, Chloe. Give us a wave. Fantastic. So, about Chloe. Chloe Timms. Chloe is a writer from the Kent coast. After a career in teaching, Chloe studied for an MA in creative writing at the University of Kent, fantastic, and won a scholarship for the Faber Academy, where she completed their 6-month novel writing course. Amazing. Chloe is passionate about disability rights, having been diagnosed with the condition spinal muscular atrophy at 18 months old, and has campaigned on a number of crucial issues. I'm going to say that again. Chloe is passionate about disability rights, having been diagnosed with the condition spinal muscular atrophy at 18 months old, and has campaigned on a number of crucial issues. The Seawomen is her first novel from Hodder Studio, and let me tell you a little bit about it. So in The Seawomen, Esther has known nothing but Eden's Isle her whole life. Raised by her grandmother after a fire claimed her parents and scarred her face as a child, Esther faces a life of piety and dread, bound to a religious society who cut themselves off from the mainland in the name of salvation. The island is governed by a fear of the outside world and the corrupting evil lurking deep in the water, known as the Seawomen. They fear the water, and the only way to remain virtuous is never to enter the sea, to follow God's word. But curious Esther longs for more. Of course she does. Women on the island are controlled, married off, and must conceive a child within the 12 months of their appointed mother year. If she doesn't bear a child in that year, she is marked as cursed and cast back into the sea as a sacrifice in an act called the untethering. When Esther witnesses a woman untethered before her eyes, she sees a future to fear. Her fate awaits a loveless marriage, her mother year declared. But before long, Esther gets a taste of freedom, and the insular world she knows begins to unravel. Oh, amazing! That sounds so great, Chloe. What a fantastic world to enter into. What will we hear from you? Where are we in the book? And read us.
So I've got a beautiful early copy of my novel, which is it's going to the printers any day now, so it's very exciting. I'm going to be reading, the novel starts with a prologue, but I'm going to be reading from the first chapter where we first meet Esther. So, sorry, you can cut this bit. Right. Picture the island now, and what do I see? A grey day, the wind crackling, the gulls crying, the land, a turret rising high out of the wild sea. The top of the island, the northern edge, lost in mist. The chapel, the church, the harbour, the peat moors, the knitters and the milkers, the gutter women with their knives, fish juices and seawater running up their elbows. Women clutching their crosses, looking down at their feet, praying for the Lord's protection. They've heard the rumours. They had an inkling all along. The bells of a Sunday service ringing out past the gust-wrecked croft houses, through the fields as the wild sheep chase each other as far as the heather in the north, to the stretches of the island that are worn and crumbled, once ours but claimed by the sea now. I picture the past, her cottage, where it all began. What would I have changed? What good is change? It's too late for that now. It's too late for anything. This island is built on stories, tales, lore, lies. They have their reasons to while away the hours, to hide the truth, to soften, to reassure, to explain, to warn, to scare. Everyone on this island has a story, and this is mine. I am 3 years old, struggling to keep up with her. We were walking there to her cottage on the southeasterly point of the island, a downward slope where the land was carpeted in green and pitted with holes made by field mice and puffins. Around the cottage was a scruff of nettles, a low mist rolling off the spine of the sea. We were caught in the middle of a downpour, a squall of it coming straight from the west, rain so cold it made me forget I was made of flesh and blood, so fast I lost my vision. We were laden with bags and boxes. Nothing in them belonged to me. Everything inside was given in sympathy. Wooden blocks, knitted dolls, clothes that other children had outgrown, dresses that would take months to fit me. A large bonnet that had been made especially to cover my scars. We were running for shelter, the horizontal sheets of rain making everything a murky silver. Everything that had once been mine was ash. We stood under the overhang of the white cottage, shaking off the wet, my teeth rattling pebbles. Sal was her name, my grandmother. I'd like to sever her from my story, but I can't. Our blood is tied. My story is hers. Everything I am started with her in that damp cottage. I stared at the blue door, painted for God's appreciation, a cross above it. All the houses across the stretch of the island carried crosses and wreaths, a message to God for protection and a warning to the sea and the women within it. Stay back. Once inside, she took a breath and roughly pulled off my coat off my shoulders. Sorry, I'll say that again. Once inside, she took a breath and roughly pulled my coat off my shoulders. There, nothing wrong with a bit of rain. I would soon learn that she was the type of woman that didn't own an umbrella. If it rained, God meant for us to get wet. Nothing happened on Eden's Isle that wasn't God's doing. In the cold, my nose started to run, but I was too afraid to move and wipe it. My grandmother's rain-wet fingers stilled my chin. Now you're here, and it's time to be brave, isn't it? You're not a baby anymore, Esther. I was old enough to realise something was missing, something was wrong. You're not a baby anymore. She'd said that before. I had a memory of it. Somewhere else, another time, after the fire, after the doctor, after the screaming, my cheek waxy, weeping, red, raw, prodded, thick with bandages. Are you listening? Don't sniff. She didn't use the word dead or anything like it. She just told me my parents were gone. Not once did she look like she might cry, that she missed her only daughter. It's just the two of us now. You live here with me. You understand? Right here in this cottage. You have a room and a bed, and I have mine, and you aren't to disturb me. Yes? I nodded or blinked. I can't remember if any words left my mouth, or if I even understood her. But I understood enough to follow her further into the cottage as she told me every rule I could not break and every blessing we needed to give.
Wonderful stuff, Chloe. Thank you so much. I was entranced. I could see it. I could see the fog coming in from the spine of the sea and the puffin holes in the grass. Amazing. Thank you so very much. So finally, I just have one question for you, which is, what is your book recommendation?
So my book, and again, this is an early copy. So the actual printed copy, which is out now, is a lovely orange and bright pink. And it's called Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? And it's by Lizzie Damalola Blackburn. And I picked this book because when I read this, it filled me with such joy. It's a book that's so uplifting. It's so full of love and warmth, and it's a really sort of big-hearted novel. And I felt like with the theme of crossing the T's, it was a perfect kind of hopeful book. So this is the story of a young Black woman called Yinka, who's British Nigerian, and she is forever being asked by her family, where is your husband? They want her to settle down and find love. And she's pretty happy in her life. I mean, she's like someone, but she's not that bothered about finding a husband. But then her cousin's wedding approaches and she feels like she has to bag this dream date. And she tells a little white lie that she's already got someone. So she's on a quest to find a boyfriend. But the thing I loved most about this story is it's not a kind of story about finding the one. It's more a story about self-acceptance, self-love, being comfortable in your own skin. Yinka's not a very confident person in herself. She struggles with the kind of narrow ideas we have of beauty. So it's more about her learning to love herself. It's about her and her friends. And it's just such a lovely, heartwarming story. And I think if you need a little pick-me-up, this is the book. And particularly if you're a fan of someone like Marian Keyes, I think you're really going to love this.
Wonderful recommendation. Thank you so much, Chloe. Round of applause.